section is it's about children's right, and here, as you can see, it is written as the childhood they deserve, featuring Pakistan. Like we will be talking about mainly Pakistan and of course globally too, because we all are from different parts of the world. We all are spread in like each corner of the world. So I'll be talking about it. But the topic which we have is the childhood they deserve. Before everything, I would like to introduce myself and then my team partner would introduce herself. I am Rimsha Siddiq. I am 15 years old high school student from Meghaz, Pakistan, and I'm really excited for this instruction. I'm excited to know how it goes and how do you guys find it. And now I will just pass the mic to Misbah.
Hello everyone, my name is Misbah and I am a high school student from Pakistan, Punjab. And I'm really excited for today's instructions.
Start now, and whenever you want me to move the slide, then I can.
Okay, so everyone, before we start talking about children's rights, I would like to ask all of you to just think back to the moment when you were 10-year-old and tell us what was your biggest worry when you were 10. If you don't want to speak up, you can just type it in the chat or anything you want. Someone else? Yes. Anyone else? I think that's it. Okay, so all the answers that you gave me are what worry should be for a 10-year-old. Like these are the common worries that a child should have, and I am thankful that you guys shared. But I would say that unfortunately for millions of children around the world, childhood looks completely different. So for many children around the world, the biggest worry isn't their homework. It is whether they will eat today, it is whether they will be safe, or it is whether they will be able to go to school, or whether they will have to work to support their families. And around the world, millions of children are denied education, safety, or even the opportunity to simply be children. I just want you to remember that behind every statistic or every big number that you will see today, just remember that there is a child, there is a real child behind that. A real child with dreams, talents, and hopes for the future just like us. Everyone, children's rights are the basic human rights that belong to every child, simply just because they are human. And these are not privileges that children have to earn. They are right that every child deserves, no matter where they live, what they look like, or what language they speak, or how much money their family earns. So these rights include the right to education, healthcare, protection from violence and exploitation, the right to express their opinions, and the opportunity to grow up in a safe and loving environment. So the idea is simple. Every child deserves a childhood where they can learn, play, dream, and grow with dignity. It is also what we often call freedom, but for children. And as UNICEF puts it, every child, everywhere, without exception. But unfortunately, as we'll see next in our presentation, millions of children around the world are still denied these fundamental rights. Okay, now that we have looked at the overall issue, let's bring our conversation a bit closer to our home. Okay, today we are sharing Pakistan's perspective through our own experiences. Of course, our two stories are not able to just completely represent an entire country, but by sharing just provinces, we hope to offer a broader picture of challenges many children face in Pakistan. I will begin by sharing what growing up in Punjab has been like from my perspective, and afterwards Rimsha will share her experience growing up in Sindh. Okay, so growing up in Punjab, whenever I go to school, I often see children around my age or even younger than me working in workshop, cleaning car windows, selling flowers. And what affected me even more than the fact that children were working, it was seeing how they were treated. In many of these workshops, it is so common to hear adults shouting at children, insulting them, or even hitting them over small mistakes. And it is treated as something completely normal. And I realized that this kind of environment doesn't just take away a child's education, it can also affect their confidence, their mental health, and the way they see themselves. And just a storytelling time, you can say, I would like to add a personal story of my own. When I was around 10 or 11 year old, one of my closest friend from my neighborhood, and her name was also Rimsha. So we spent so much time together, playing, talking, and just enjoying our childhood. But she went to school just like I did. But after some time, her parents decided that she would stop studying and began helping support her family. Her mother often worked in different houses as a helper and clean, helped different families. And Rimsha began helping her instead of continuing her education. And watching that happen made me realize that how differently childhood can unfold for two children living in the same neighborhood. And it also made me think about how much a child's future is influenced simply by the circumstances they are born into. Education gives a child a choice, and without it, breaking that cycle of labor and of the struggle becomes much harder for us. And that's why the right to education matters so much to me. Now I would like to hand it over to my co-facilitator or partner Rimsha, who will share her experience growing up in Sindh.
Okay, thank you so much, Rizba. I hope you guys can see my slide, which is growing up in Sindh. So every day, like I would just read it, and then I would start telling what my experience has been looking like since I was born in Sindh. Every day on my way to school, I saw children selling the very pencils they should be learning to write with. Like growing up in Sindh has shown me that not every child gets to experience childhood same way. It's like I remember seeing children outside my school. Like, of course, I go to school. So when I used to get out of my school, and when I used to like I used to carry books in my hand. I had that bag on my back, and when I used to get out of my school, and I used to see the same children, like children of my age, girls of my age, they used to sell the pencils outside of the school so that we could buy them. But I realized that isn't it their right to write with the same pencils that I am writing with? Like, isn't it their right to, like, they shouldn't be selling the pencils but writing with them? But it was something, and while we used to be in classrooms, me and my friends, like, those children used to be on the street, they used to, cooperate with the families and they used to earn for their families. Like they were the bread maker of the houses, even like since the such age where you should be learning to write. And many of them, I do not exaggerate it when I say it, that a lot of kids, a lot of children from Sindh they have never seen classrooms in their lives. Like the classrooms which we are ungrateful of sometimes, we are like, oh, I don't want to go to school today. They have not even had the privilege to see those classrooms. It touched my heart that they are the same child like me. If I would be at their place, if I would have born in their home, then I would be at their place too. But why is it like education is something that is so fundamental and everybody should be getting the rights to get it? But still they were not, just because of the geographical luck they have, just because of the circumstances they are brought in. And at the moment that has stayed with me ever since, I would like to story tell it a bit. When I was in 7th grade, I was like really, not 7 but 5, yes. When I was in 5th grade, I was like really young, and I was just a child and I did not know a lot about how world works and just like some other children. So there was construction work going on at my home, and one of the workers had brought his youngest son with him. So he had brought him so that his son could help him in the construction work at my home. And I was studying in the drawing room at my home, and when I was studying, I was focused in the study, so I couldn't see the child. But when he was going upstairs to support his father with the work, he saw me and he just stood there, like he froze there, and he just kept looking at me. And when I looked back at him, he quickly ran away. I don't know that what he was thinking, what was going on in his mind at the time, but I could see his eyes. I could see what he was going through. Like he must be thinking that he was just constantly looking at the books I was reading. He was constantly looking at the pencils like that through what I was writing, and that really broke my heart. I was like, and then I asked my parents about it, that why are they not studying just like me, and why? Because I told my father, you don't take me when you go out to work. You don't take me with you. Why? So then he said that not everybody like bonds in the same circumstances, and that really stayed with me. So this is what growing up in Sindh has been for me. I have seen, these are just two little examples, two really tiny examples that I have just taken from my everyday life. I bet, and I can like literally bet that if you guys come to Sindh, like my province, and if you guys just ride a bike or drive a car here, and you will see at least 2 to 3 children selling something or doing some work, like they are literally 5 years old, 6 years old, and in the morning when you will just ride by your bike or drive your car, you can at least see 3 children selling some flowers or selling something on the street. I hope my slide is visible again. About the global condition, I would see in the global condition, it's like if I talk about when we talked about Pakistan, me and Misbah. So you guys must be like, Pakistan can be a country which is not so much in power, or which is a country to have like some issues. But you will be surprised to know that there are so many countries in the world which have like really good reputation, but still they go through this thing. They go through child labor, they go through like child marriages, and a lot of issues related to children. 272 million children and youth worldwide are out of school, according to UNESCO's 2025 SDG4 scoreboard. 138 million children, as I told before, aged 5 to 17, are engaged in child labor worldwide. 54 million of them are involved in hazardous work that threatens their health, safety, and development. So this is what the global condition is. And in this global condition comes the countries just like Japan, USA, like who are really good at what they do, like who have really good reputation in the society. And this issue is already common there too. So this is how much the issue is common, and this is how much we need to work on it. Otherwise, we are just going to ruin everything. Now about this, we have this particular issue which is child marriages. It is really common, especially for girls, to be honest, really common. In South Africa, like in Africa and in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, 650 million women and girls alive today are married before their 18th birthday, which is like even illegal in so many countries, but still it happens. 12 million girls become child brides every year. That's our 32,000 every day. So, this is an issue like child marriage. I would give a personal example about it. About the child marriage thing, you guys won't believe, but I have seen this in my own like blood relations, that a 15 years old is getting married to a 35 years old. Like, you understand the age gap, you understand, and even without consent. Just to clarify, there is no consent. And a 15 years old is getting married to a 35 years old. Like, just a child, like, I was traveling a few days ago, and on the side I saw a child, like she must be 12 or 13 years old, and she was pregnant. Like she was literally pregnant, and I was so shocked to see that. Like she can't even handle herself when she's handling a whole pregnancy at this age. So that is what the issue is, and that is what this is how it is just so disappointing to even think about it. Now I want you guys to put some like a bit of, you can say, concentration on this slide, because after this we have a really interesting question which is related to this. So these are the countries and the challenges they face, like mostly in Pakistan, related to children's right. In Pakistan, education and child labor is really common. In USA, gun violence affecting children. In UK, child poverty. In Japan, bullying and youth mental health. So in South Sudan, conflicts and displacement. In Palestine, education disrupted by like wars and all. Ukraine, war and displacement. Like these are the most common challenges that they have to face in the countries. Now after this, I have this question for you guys, which I would like you guys to just raise your hands and speak up about it, because since we are representing our country right now, you guys can represent your countries through answering this question, that which children's right issue is most significant in your country. Like, is it child labor? Is it if a child is not studying at the moment, so it is not just the child's fault, or it is not just the child's thing, or he should be worried about. It is the whole country's fault, and it is the whole country's like, the whole country should be worried about it, because these children are the future of the country eventually. They are the future of the country, and at the end, and this is what, like, these children are going to shape the country. So if there is no future of the children, then there is no future of the country too, because they are going to be the future of that. So this was what my closing points was, and the next slide is, I don't know if you guys can see it or not. It's feedback time. I know the technical issues were there, and I'm really sorry about that. But if you guys could